Hey everyone, Andre here along with Dawn to discuss our review discussion. What am I even saying here? I don't know. It's been a long day, Dawn. We've both been playing a ton of Princess Peach Showtime. We've both finished the game. Not 100%, of course. There's always more to do. But we finished the main game and checked out some of the post-game. And I want to talk about while it's fresh on our minds. So, Dawn, let's start off with you. What is your overall, quick impression of the game now that you finished it?
I would say quick impression. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I wouldn't say. I would say mostly because of the variety of this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that every single part of it completely holds up, but overall, I enjoyed my time with it.
All right. Yeah, I think I would largely agree with that. I mean, I think, as you said, this game kind of lives by its variety. Like, I think, there's 10 transformations, there's 2 to 3, or basically 3 levels for each of them, so not a ton of gameplay for any one of them, especially because this is a short game. I beat it in 7 hours. I think you did even quicker than me in 6 or so. And I think if you were to make a game, like a full game out of almost any one of these powers or transformations, it probably wouldn't be that great of a game. But because it has 10 of them, each one doesn't need to be all that deep, and it changes up often enough that even the ones I didn't like that much, I knew it would be over soon enough, and I'd be on to the next one. And it's always, it's always kind of fun to get used to what the new ability is, especially when they work, when they work well. In some cases, better, some better than others. We'll have a breakdown soon enough of our top 3 and least favorite, 3 least favorite powers soon enough. But yeah, I think overall I had fun too. I think the demo actually did this game a disservice, where it actually made the game look even more simplistic than it actually ends up being. It's still simple, don't get me wrong, still I think skewing largely toward a younger demographic, but it kept my interest enough that I didn't mind playing all the way through, even if I don't know if I really want to replay it again.
I understand why the first level was there, because obviously the first level is still the first level in the main game.
Right.
I wonder why, though, they chose the bakery level for the second part of that demo.
I don't think that was the best showcase for it, because the first swordplay level is already kind of slower paced by more action focused standards, and then you really just grind to a halt with the patisserie level, which I think in the context of the full game works better because it is actually kind of like a nice change of pace, and I actually didn't mind them. But yeah, in the demo, when it represents half your playtime, it's like, this is not the best example for this case. So I think the actual game ends up being better than the demo suggested. I think the demo did a disservice. So before we get too deep into maybe like overall pros and cons of the game, I just want to dive into what makes this game unique, which again is a variety. And I want to talk about our favorite and least favorite abilities or transformations in the game. Let's start off with favorites, Dawn, and we'll trade off here, as we go through our top 3 each. Dawn, what is one of your top 3 transformations?
Ninja.
Yes, we're probably gonna agree on most of these. Ninja is great. Ninja's actually really fun. What did you like?
I agree, especially with you going the wall with the prop, and then basically representing your back wall.
That was genius.
So much fun.
That was a fun surprise, especially because the game doesn't really tell you anything. So I discovered that by mistake. Yeah.
But also, like, going through the grass, like holding this little grass bit on top of you, and then the enemies just simply not seeing you.
Nope.
It's so much fun.
I have to say, like, that is such a great example of, like, even though the gameplay for each of these transformations is pretty simple, like, it actually worked in this case. I'm like, you know what? This is actually, like, a stealth Nintendo mission. Nintendo made a full-on, like, stealth-based ability, and that's really fun. I liked having to, like, work around the spotlights of the enemies, having to sneak around them by, going into the grass, or, as you said, up against the wall. Just a really fun mechanic. Simple, but fun, and it worked for what it was.
100%, 100%.
Right.
Also, all the animations are so much fun, though. Like, when you go in the water and a little thing pops up and you just walk through there, it's so entertaining. But also, like, the wall jumping, the swiftness of it, I just like it overall as a mechanic.
Yeah, I agree. I think it had a good flow to it. It broke up the gameplay. I very much enjoyed it as well. So we are agreed so far on one of our top 3. Let's see if we continue. Dawn, what is another one of your top 3?
Dashing Thief.
Yes, Dawn, yes! If I had to choose, that actually might be my favorite overall.
Okay.
Why did you like it?
I like, once again, it has a swiftness to it that I really enjoyed, but also going from, like, element to element. Like, you grinding on the rails, or basically using the rope from platform to platform. It's so much fun to play around with. Right. Particularly in the later 2 levels of Thief, where you have to do very precise with your movement. It's so entertaining.
I honestly think this is the one power they could possibly flesh out to a full game. Like, it actually felt really good. Like, this is how, like, this is the most Mario-like it feels. And it's not even all that Mario-like. Like, it's still very distinct, but it's the most platformer-like, I should say. And I had a lot of fun with it, like, grappling onto, you know, the hanging beams or whatever it is. Like, yeah, twirling across gaps, interacting with different switches and things. I thought this felt really good, especially when they, you know, even within each chapter or each transformation, there's, like, you know, little, like, elements, too, that feel, varied. Like how at the end of one of them, you're, like, flying on a hang glider for some reason. All right, Don, so we're 2 for 3 now. We are fully agreed 2 of the 3 for our top 3 so far. What is your final top 3? I'm so curious to see if we actually...
The third one is actually difficult because there's 2 that sort of fit for me in that free spot. Figure Skater Peach, I think.
We are 100% agreed! I can't believe this! We are fully agreed across the board. What about Figure Skater Peach appeal to you?
It's just the music that plays when you roll around the longer sections of those levels. It's the jumping, it's the spinning, and particularly that second stage where you have to guide this big float next to you.
Yeah.
And defeat all the enemies and keep on top of all the little things that are going on the level, particularly when collecting the sparks. There's something that clicks immediately in your head once you get like halfway through that stage.
Wow. Is that a thumbs up on your screen right now?
I'm not sure what's going on here.
Anyway, it was well timed. Yes, there was just something about the Figure Skating Peach. It just felt good. Like, first off, the animation. The animation for the entire game's great, but I especially liked the Ice Skating Peach animations. I loved, like, when she starts skating backwards and, like, in the twirls and all that. That feels good. The mechanics of the things, you know, the what are they? The projections on the ground almost to show you when to spin, when to jump. That felt good. I like that. And then even the boss fight is actually pretty creative, I thought, you know?
Yeah.
I like how you defeat him, like, you defeat him by, like, impressing him. So those are our top 3 transformations. Seems like we're pretty well agreed that those are, I mean, we are fully agreed that those are our favorite, it seems. Let's see if that continues for our least favorite, Don. So these are our bottom 3 now. What is your first one that you dislike the most? Or like the least?
Okay, you're just continuing to give it to me, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. No pressure.
Yeah. All right, Mermaid Peach.
Okay, so we actually kind of disagree on this one. It's not on my list. So tell me about Mermaid Peach.
I just don't like it as a concept where basically I hold the B button and instead of moving my character, I move a school of fish around.
Right.
Not sure what I was doing. Moving a school, a fish around a stage and basically interacting with the environment. I don't necessarily think that's a fun idea. Like, I feel really disconnected. Like, with the other 9, at least I can say I have direct control over Peach and what she's doing. I didn't feel like I was very entertained by most of the stages. I think the singing part was like the closest it came to me for it. But like the majority, I wasn't just not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's definitely, all this is not my favorite. And I almost put in my bottom 3. And there's a theme that ties my bottom 3 together, which is why I actually just barely missed out. I think what saved it for me is some of the uniqueness of it, though. You know, like, I was hoping Mermaid Peach felt better to control. Like, I love it when underwater creatures feel good, like Tropical Freeze or the Zora in Majora's Mask. Mermaid Peach does not have that, unfortunately, but
no.
I actually did kind of like the fish mechanic. It's weird, I didn't love it, but I did think that you put some unique use to it. Because you basically have to play across 2 planes, you know, the foreground and the background. And I like some of the puzzles loosely, where you have to like control the eel and move them out of the way to open up a gap or open a jail cell, for instance. So it did just enough unique stuff that I'm like, okay, I don't love it, but it's in my middle tier, you know, so.
For me, it felt a bit clunky. Like, I never fully, like, really understood it or really gelled with it really well. So I just didn't really like it because I just didn't feel like I was doing anything of much.
Makes sense. All right, Don, we'll keep going with you here. What's your next dislike?
Or Detective Peach.
Oh, interesting. Once again, she's in my middle tier. So why didn't you like her?
It's not that I didn't like her, I just didn't think it fit the overall theming of the game pretty well.
Okay. Like, in what sense?
Like, most of this game feels pretty actiony. Even the bakery part to a certain sense, and even like the mermaid part still feels actiony to a certain extent. The reason why I didn't like Detective Peach is not their actual mechanics, because in fact I love detective games. I think I play those a ton.
Oh, right,
Outside of platformers and RPGs. The main reason is that it just didn't fit very well, and also I didn't really feel like challenged in any particular way, because the clues are real obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, they pretty much are. I will say, it probably resulted in me, not getting much sleep, that I woke up early, and also, streaming, so I'm not paying a ton of attention to the text. The first puzzle or two did trip me up a little bit more than they probably should have, but I actually did kind of like, I mean, you're right, like, the pace is totally different. I'd say it's even slower than Patisserie Peach, which is saying something. But I kind of like that about it, because it did actually make me think a little bit, even if it wasn't much, It's like, oh, I have to think about this game a little bit. There are some puzzles here. But I will say, I did find some of the mechanics a little annoying, like how, in order to find some of the clues, you have to slowly use your magnifying glass and walk around. Then when you want to actually, like, make an, what did they call it? A strike of intuition, I think?
Intuition.
Yeah. You have to, like, hold B for, like, an annoying amount of time, and they could...
Why is that a mechanic?
I don't know why. That's a very weird way of doing
it. Like if you'd have to press an additional button, let us press an additional button, but let us not hold the entire time waiting for something.
I think part of the reason, I mean, there's probably other workarounds, but like for whatever reason, they were hellbent at having this game being played with only 2 buttons, right? Every power uses, I think, just A and B. I believe, yeah, A and B, plus a control stick.
At least it's doing better than another game that tried this.
I'm trying to think. What?
Balan Wonderland.
Oh god, this game really does seem like Balan Wonderworld done right, or Wonderland, whatever it was. So
yeah.
But yeah, I totally get it. I can totally see why Detective Pikachu would feel out of place. But I thought, yeah, I thought I liked just enough of it that I didn't rank in my lower 3. But Don, what's your final disliked, or least liked transformation?
I'm sort of out. Like. The rest, I'm sort of in the middle tier for me. I'm sort of out. Yeah,
that's fair. I'll pick it. I'll go right into mine then, and mine's gonna be quick.
Yeah,
because I put them all in for basically the same reason. So my 3 are Sword Fighter, Mighty Peach, and Kung Fu. Because all 3 to me basically felt the same. They all feel like very simple brawlers essentially. There's a couple of segments in each of them that switch it up. The Kung Fu one has those kind of cute like light fighter-like modes, and like a simple Street Fighter or something. I mean, very simple. I like the idea, but basically all 3 I felt like didn't really offer anything that either challenged me or made me think, and it was really easy for me to just like completely turn my brain off and just like easily just like mash buttons to get through. And Sword Fighter in particular is pretty guilty of this, because you can counter without even trying to, because there's only 2 buttons, and either jump or attack will cause you to do a dodge or counter or whatever it is, and like they'll often happen without you even making a conscious choice. And so all 3 just kind of ended up feeling very samey for me. Maybe Mighty Peach is the most varied, because there's a couple like flying segments, for instance.
I actually, Mighty Peach might have been my 4th choice.
For least favorite or favorite? Oh, favorite.
For favorite.
Oh, got
favorite,
it. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I mean, that's what it kind of shows how varied this game is, right? That we only agreed on our favorites. Everything else, kind of got mixed up a lot. And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I don't think there is one, like, a wrong way to think about this, because they tried to throw everything at it with the kitchen sink in tow. So for every single person who plays this, there is likely going to be, like, favorites that they more adjust or elevate to. To me, like, I didn't hate Sword Fighter Peach all that much. The only thing I didn't like about it was the dodge. And even that you could avoid by just, instead of using that, just jumping, because most of the bosses or mini-bosses would interact with the jump anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
so there was no need to use the dodge anyway. So
right, yeah, there often isn't. So
yeah,
yeah, and it's kind of like, it kind of speaks to like this kind of overall simplicity of the game, that there aren't a whole lot of options, but largely because within the context of the games, you don't need those options. So
exactly.
So those are our favorite and least favorite powers, transformations. I'll be curious to hear what our audience thinks of both our choices and what their own choices are once they actually get to play the game, more in depth. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the game, just like kind of in a more holistic manner. Dawn, so you already mentioned you like the game overall. So what are what did you what else did you like about it? Like you mentioned, of course, the variety of gameplay. Is there anything else that stood out about it to you?
It's how every stage feels like its own self-contained little story.
Yeah.
And within that little story, there are little challenges that you can overcome. Like we, of course, already mentioned the stages where you do a pose and walk down to a different level where you do like a challenge. But there's also like interactions within the stages themselves. Like there might be a little corner that you see over there, and there might be something there that you might overlook the first time, but then you just go in and see something new entirely. And I think that's the strength of this game. There is a lot of stuff in the little things that you see across the stage.
Yeah, lots of little hidden collectibles and secrets to find. Like if you're a big like collectibles fan, this game is probably up your alley. Especially because once you beat the game, you're not done collecting things. So have fun with that. No. I will say like
one thing in that regard, and I'm kind of daunting this already. There is it's unlockable in the post game, where you have to collect something in every single stage again. Yeah. And I done that for the rest of time.
Wait, sorry, you say that again?
So there is something unlockable. Right. So there's a hidden character in every stage in the post game.
Yeah.
Which makes you go back to every stage once again, even if you completed it before the credits.
Yeah, that's wild. So do you like that or not?
I do find it interesting. But I'm not sure how long that hold my interest without actual getting a reward for it. Yeah. Will I do it? Yeah. Will I hate it? Likely.
See, I feel similarly, except I'm probably not going to do it. I'll be honest, I started playing it, I tried a couple in our stream, and they were showing off the game in the post-game, and that's when I realized, I'm like, I really don't want to replay through this again. Like, and I think that's my main issue with the game. Yeah, because I think, I enjoy my time with the game. It's a very short game. The powers, like I said, some I didn't love, but some I enjoyed a fair amount. But, ultimately they're all, like, very simple, and there's not really any area in which I can... Yeah. There's not anything more for me to glean from them, So unless you really love collecting things, which I know a lot of you do, I feel like there's not a whole lot for me to gain personally from the post-game. But, for a younger gamer, perhaps, or ones who have, who don't compulsively buy every game from Nintendo, or those who really like collecting things, that might be up your alley. But for me, I'm like, I don't know if I want to replay this, especially because Don, I hate the levels, your first introduction to each power, where you start the level without having the power, and you have to repeat that first segment. I hate that. Just let me get to the power.
Yeah, honestly, I think if I had to do a bottom tier, I think Peach as her natural form is one of the most least interesting things of this entire game.
I agree. I wish you only had to play as her in the hub. I get that they had some little stories set up for the rest, but they could have totally done that differently. Having to play as Peach in the levels themselves is a complete drag, and it really does kind of drag down the experience when revisiting the levels. There's really no way of skipping through it, and even if it's only a minute or two, it just feels tedious. And I kind of wish it.
It's also that she feels sort of clunky in a weird way. I'm not sure. I can completely put it down why that is.
Yeah.
But it feels clunky in a weird way that I can't really describe.
No, you're right. It doesn't have the same flow that a Mario game has, the same core feeling. And not that it necessarily needs that, but especially but because you aren't playing as base Peach all that often. But yeah, playing as her just isn't that fun. It's just kind of boring, And
yeah.
And kind of to that point, I will say, so overall, aesthetically, the presentation overall is really good. The frame rate can get really choppy at times. It's not often enough to really bug me, especially the type of gameplay this is. I wish it were more solid, but that's a minor detail. Overall, the game looks really good. Has some great, some really fun artistic moments. I love, the whole stage theater setting. Really cute.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all very well done. I will say, though, there is a degree of kind of generic quality to it. Maybe it's a side effect of Peach literally being the only Mario character here besides a couple of Toads that you never really see. And there's no Mario enemies. Mario's not here at all. He's not even referenced by name. There's no Easter eggs. There's no Mario enemies. Bowser's not here. It really feels like you could swap out Peach and you'd have no idea this is a Mario game.
Oh yeah. But I also think that's sort of the point for them, just throw everything unique that they could possibly throw at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably it.
And to be fair, it's been a bit since there's almost no Mario characters in something related to the Mario universe.
Yeah, I was trying to think of any other examples. Like even Super Princess Peach, technically her first main game, had Mario in there kidnapped.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I was even trying to think of any other examples. Like this might be the most divorced or separated from the main Mario games I can think of. Like there aren't many others. Actually, the only other game I would say this kind of reminded me of, and even to a lesser degree, would be Mario Sunshine. Because when you first play through Mario Sunshine, aside from the main cast, everything else is unique. Like all the enemies, some of them may be similar, but they're all still like their own unique version of it. You know, so
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Trying to think of what else I liked about the game. Music, good. Some of it really good, I thought.
To be fair, like, good feel since that Tomita, who did the soundtracks for Wario Land and Yoshi's Woolly World left, their soundtracks have been a bit over the place, but it is the best post that period that Good Feel has made, where the music is actually really good.
You know, Don, I have something. This is kind of slightly off topic, a tangent, if you will. I have something a little controversial to say, because you know, this actually might be my favorite Good Feel game. I think this is the Good Feel game I've had the most fun with.
I would have said the same if not in December a Japanese only Good Feel game came out.
Of course, you had to come through with the
Goemon
obscure.
successor. Yeah,
what game was
the Goemon successor. The Goemon successor. It has only a Japanese name, so I won't say it because nobody will remember it anyway. But there's a Goemon successor that came out last December, also by Good Feel, and I have the feeling this was made before that game.
Right.
Because, at least from the leaked information that's out there.
Oh, I see.
So the other game in December is a bit more recent. But you can see it because it felt really mature in its mechanics, and it was a proper 3D collectathon game.
All right. Well, cool. Well, may have to check that out. So this would be your second favorite Good Feel game, or do you like some of the Yoshi games more?
I do. This is my third. I like Yoshi's Woolly World as my second favorite.
Got it.
Particularly, and I don't think you can really replicate it if they brought it to the Switch, because I really like the way it controlled with the Wii Remote, and where you could like float Yoshi around while moving him around like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And it was so much fun and such a joy to play with.
Nice. I will say something Good Feel is good at in general, and I think especially in this case is like making like just kind of like immersion, which is a weird thing to say for a platformer, but they do a good job of setting the stage, literally in this case, I guess. Like they really make you feel like you're in these, you know, environments. Obviously, it's like, you know, in this case, literally portrayed as like a stage setting, but they really do like a good job making every environment feel distinct. The music and sound complements it well. You know, like one of my favorite things is like, you know, haunted house chapters or in games oftentimes, or I'm trying to think of a few other examples, but in any case, anything I tend to like in games, like they nailed here, like the old Western town, you know, like I thought that was all really well done here.
I also like secretly really enjoyed Cowgirl Peach, especially with the horse segments. Those
train?
Yes! Those are really fun.
Train was great, so... is there anything else about the game you maybe didn't like, Don? Or anything else that stood out to you in general about the game that we touched on?
I think we covered like most bases in general, I feel. There's not much left that's really undiscussed at this point, particularly when it comes to like a broad overview of the game.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's a good time for us to kind of wrap it up here then. This game, it's not a complicated game. Like there isn't really a whole lot to say about it. No. I actually during the stream, it almost made me feel like the closest game I can think of to this is it reminded me a bit of Game & Wario. It felt like if Game & Wario had like a story and the minigames were a little bit more fleshed out, the single player ones. That's what this game is.
Yeah,
it feels like a fleshed out Game & Wario. And that's in this case, I think that's a good thing. Like I like this game more than I did Game & Wario, and I think what they were aiming to accomplish, it actually mostly works here. So yeah, let's just go ahead and let's just give our review scores then. Like, you know, we now use a 1 to 10 review scale. Don, 1 to 10, what do you give this game?
I'm between a 7 and 7, 8. So I like 7.5 at the moment, really.
Oh, we usually hold numbers here, Don. So 7 or 8.
I'm closer to 8 than a 7.
8? You're closer to 8? All right. I respect that.
Yeah.
Cool. Any final summary you want to give for that 8? Or?
For sure. Outside of a few things, a few of the costumes, and overall a few of the mechanics, I actually really like this. because of its variety, and I never felt like really bored by it.
Right.
And even in the stuff I didn't like, it was mostly down to how at odds it was with the rest of the game, more so than I really fully hating it or disliking it. But it still felt disjointed in some places, and there I'm docking it really some points for.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment. I would probably just go a little lower. I would give it a 7. I think it was good. I had fun. It's very cute. But I also don't think I ever want to replay it again. Like, it's kind of like, it rides a lot on the novelty factor. The fact that you're constantly switching up what you're doing. Both in the meta sense of like the transformations, but also like, the moment-to-moment gameplay, which does switch it up even per level. But at the same time, there's not any depth here. There's no real depth.
No.
And like, the detective levels are like, there's literally no reason to ever replay those again except to find collectibles, because what few puzzles there were, like, you instantly now know how to solve.
Yeah.
And you would never be challenged by that again. And even for my the powers, like some of the transformations that I enjoyed, maybe not at the bottom of my list, but like somewhere in the middle, it's like, I don't know if I ever want to revisit them either, But let me tell you, if we ever get a full game based around Dashing Thief Peach, sign me up, I'm there. That's a killer power. Give me more of that. So I almost wish that, like, I almost wonder if they didn't need to make it so every power was equal in length effectively, because I would have loved to have seen some of these more fleshed out powers a little bit, like Dashing Thief, or maybe Figure Skater Peach, or our other third favorite Ninja Peach. I would have loved a few more levels of those, and maybe a few or less of like Mermaid or Sword Fighter, Mighty Peach, things like that. So
I do think it's interesting that almost every level outside of bosses and the final boss is roughly 10 minutes long.
Yeah, that's I think that's pretty accurate. So I think maybe Detective one took a little bit longer for me at least, but yeah, they're pretty similar in length. So, which might be a good thing, like maybe we won't all agree on what our favorite and least favorite ones are. So maybe if I want more Dashing Thief Peach, maybe someone else will hate it. So maybe that's why I didn't end up going that route. But it would be fun to see them.
That seems likely.
It would be fun, I think, to see them possibly explore some of these ideas more in depth in a sequel. Maybe like flesh out some of these more. But I think that's the main thing. That's my main mark against this game. It's just not that complex. Like, there's not a lot to master, not a lot to get good at. And I think had it had more of that, there'd be more reason to revisit it.
I don't necessarily for me, like, it doesn't really matter about complex. Do I have a good time ultimately is where it matters for me. I just have a good time with that game. So,
yeah, I mean, I hear that. I think for me, like,
yeah,
that is kind of like intrinsic to me enjoying a game, because I feel like I
get that, yeah,
I kind of need that feeling a game better. But like I said, this game's varied enough that it felt like, I didn't feel held back too often by the lack of complexity that severely, because after 10 minutes you're on to the next power. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up there, everyone. So there is our review impressions of Princess Peach Showtime. I keep wanting to call it Super Princess Peach Showtime. Maybe the sequel can be called that. But thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And Don, where can people follow you at if they want to find out more from you on social media?
Everywhere it's at Nintendo as NANTNDAAN.
All right, perfect. And you'll find a link to that in the description below, as well as myself at Andre Seegers on X, and I can't believe I actually used his proper name now, and everywhere else, basically. And of course, GameXplain, at GameXplain as well. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Thumbs up this video, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.